पाश्चात्य सतारिण जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद
Paramahansa Sadasi Sibadesi Bhaktivadana Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Namachar Haridas Thakur ki jai. Pramasaga Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopika Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Ganga Jamuna Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Brother Yasoda Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Vishwabhar Mahagravaraj Acharya also Sivadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Namachar Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sagaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopira Shama Kunda Radha Kuda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Gang Jamuna Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Banaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadisha Tarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 36, Verse 1. Shri Badaraya Niruvacha Atathayagato Goshtam Arishta Vrajavasis Mahi Maha Kakutkaya Kampayan Akura Vikshatam. Shri Badarayani Uvacha. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Atta, next, Tarhi, then, Agata, came, Goshtam, to the cowherd village, Arishta, named Arishta, Vrajavasura, the bull demon, Mahim, earth, Maha, great, Kakut, having a hump, Kayaha, whose body, Kampayan, making tremble, Kura, by his hoofs, Vikshatam, torn. Translation, Sukadeva Goswami said, the demon Arishta then came to the cowherd village, appearing in the form of a bull with a huge hump. He made the earth tremble as he tore it apart with his hoofs. Purport according to Sri Vishnu Purana, Aristasura entered Krishna's village at twilight as the Lord prepared to dance with the gopis. Pradosh arde kadachat tu rasa asakte janardane trasayan samado goshtam arishta sampagata. Once, midway through the period of dusk, when Lord Janardana was eager to perform the rasa dance, Aristasura madly entered the cowherd village, terrifying everyone. Aristasura bellowed very harshly and pawed the ground with his tail raised and his eyes glaring. He began to tear up the embankments with the tips of his horns, every now and then passing a little stool and urine. My dear king, clouds hovered about sharp-horned Aristasura's hump, mistaking it for a mountain. And when the cowherd men and ladies caught sight of the demon, they were struck with terror. Indeed, the strident reverberation of his roar so frightened the pregnant cows and women that they lost their fetuses in miscarriages. Purport: the Vedic literature categorized as miscarriages as follows: Churtat, Bhavet, Srava, Pata, Panchama, Shashtayo, Ata Urdvam Prasuti Syat. Up to the 4th month of premature delivery is called Srava, and the 5th and 6th month is called Pata, and after that it is considered a birth. The domestic animals fled the pasture in fear, O king, and all the inhabitants rushed to Lord Govinda for shelter, crying, Krishna, Krishna. When the Supreme Lord saw the cowherd community distraught and fleeing in fear, he calmed them, saying, don't be afraid. Then he called out to the bull demon as follows: You fool, what you think you're doing, you wicked rascal, frightening the cowherd community and the animals when I am here just to punish corrupt miscreants like you. Having spoken these words, the infallible Lord slapped his arms with his palms, further angering Arista with the loud sound. The Lord then casually threw his mighty serpentine arms over the shoulder of a friend and stood facing the demon. Lord Krishna showed his contempt for the ignorant demon. Thus provoked, Arista pawed the ground with one of his hooves, and then with the clouds hovering around his upraised tail, furiously charged Krishna, pointing the tips of his horns straight ahead and glaring menacingly at Lord Krishna from the corners of his bloodshot eyes. Arista rushed towards him at full speed, like a thunderbolt hurled by Indra. The Supreme Lord Krishna seized Aristasura by the horns and threw him back 18 steps, just as an elephant might do when fighting a rival elephant. Thus repulsed by the Supreme Lord, the bull demon got up and, breathing hard and sweating all over his body, again charged him in a mindless rage. As Aristasura attacked, Lord Krishna seized him by the horns and knocked him to the ground with his foot. The Lord then thrashed him as if he were wet cloth, and finally he yanked out one of the demon's horns and struck him with it until he lay prostrate. Vomiting blood and profusely excreting stool and urine, kicking his legs and rolling his eyes about, Aristasura thus went painfully to the abode of death. The demigods honored Lord Krishna by scattering flowers upon him. Having thus killed the bull demon Arista, he who was a festival for the gopis' eyes entered the cowherd village with Balaram. Purport: this verse exemplifies sublime contrast of spiritual qualities within Sri Krishna. In one 4-line verse, we simultaneously learn that Lord Krishna killed a powerful and wicked demon, and that his boyish beauty gave festive pleasure to his young girlfriends. Lord Krishna is as hard as a thunderbolt or soft as a rose, depending on our attitude toward him. The demon, Arista, wanted to kill Krishna and all his friends, so the Lord beat him like a wet rag and killed him. The gopis, however, loved Krishna, and thus the Lord boyishly reciprocated their conjugal feelings. So this is the killing of Aristasura, the demon, who came in the shape of a bull. So we see that in Vrindavan, many of the demons took animal forms or disguised forms of some sort. So Putana came as a beautiful gopi, and we have Trinavarta, a whirlwind, and we have Sakatasura in the form of a cart. We have Agasura in the form of a big snake, Keshi demon in the form of a horse, and Bakasura in the form of a bird. So here we have a bull. So one remarkable feature, of course, is generally the cow and the bull are sacred. So how is it possible that he could take such a form, or why would he take such a form? So we see that when a demon, or the mentality of a demon, has any form, then it becomes inauspicious, even if it is generally auspicious. So though the bull is sacred, if has demon mentality, then it becomes inauspicious. And that we see here. It frightened the people of Vrindavan, even though they were taking care of the cows and the bulls and had great affection for them. When they saw this big demon who was in the form of a bull, they were very frightened. And therefore they took shelter of Krishna. So his, we can say his power is indicated by his, one, by his size. So we see several times that mentions that his hump was up to the clouds, and his hump was like a mountain, or that his tail was in the clouds. So in other words, he was very huge. And he was very angry. So he was pawing the ground and had red eyes, glaring with his red eyes. He was tearing apart the earth, etc. So his mentality was also very asuric. Not only his appearance was asuric, but his mentality was also asuric. And therefore the people were frightened. And they took shelter of Krishna. So of course, though bhakti and prema in its pure form does not request anything from Krishna, still it is natural that the devotee takes shelter of Krishna in all circumstances, and especially when there is danger. So we see that in the what is called surrender, sharanagati or prapanna, one of the qualities is that one accepts the Lord as one's protector. And so therefore we don't go to anyone else for protection. We think of the Lord as the protector. So naturally, if there's any, of course all the time they're thinking like that, and when there's an extreme situation of danger or whatever, naturally they will think of Krishna, Supreme Lord, because they are surrendered souls. So we see that with the, for instance, other instances when demons come, like Keshi demon comes as well, then the people take shelter of Krishna, or when there's a forest fire, they take shelter of Krishna, or when there's rain coming down from Indra, they take shelter of Krishna. So of course it may appear that their devotion is mixed with some material result. We want to save our material bodies, but they don't have material bodies, so there's nothing like that at all. They have spiritual bodies. Nevertheless, in the spiritual world, or in Vrindavan on earth, we get feelings of fear and insecurity, etc., arising just as we have in the material world due to our identification with material bodies. But this fear is not the same. This fear is actually secondary rasa in relation to the Supreme Lord. So, of course, the fear rasa, one could fear Krishna, as they may do in sometimes, even the gopis may fear Krishna's angry or something, or the cowherd boys may fear that they've made a mistake, so therefore Krishna may be chastising them or may be upset. Or especially the servants may be fearful of the Lord that because they are in this mood of reverence or whatever. So, of course, the object of fear could be Krishna, but often the object of fear is some demon. So, of course, the fear is related to Krishna itself because they don't particularly care for themselves, but they do care for protection of Krishna. And somehow they want to see that Krishna is no longer harmed or whatever. So sometimes we see when Krishna fights a demon, or when, for instance, with Kaliya, that everybody is overcome with fear and anxiety because they think Krishna is in danger. So there is fear of the demon, but also fear for Krishna at the same time. So, and of course, as I said there, this fear is we can say, a secondary rasa related to their primary rasa of attraction for the Lord and devotion to the Lord. So it doesn't arise from material identification with our body, and danger to our body, but it arises from attraction to Krishna. So that's the immediate reason for this secondary rasa of fear. So in any case, they take shelter of Krishna as a solution to that fear, understanding that he can suitably combat this demon. So though they don't take him as Supreme Lord, they have this understanding because they've seen how Krishna has done many wonderful activities, such as lifting Govardhan Hill or defeating Kaliya, etc. Or they haven't directly witnessed some of these things, such as Aristasura getting killed. But the cowherd boys have told everyone of the great expertise of Krishna at killing demons. So therefore, they understand that he has great power. But at the same time, they don't conclude that he is therefore Supreme Lord. They simply think that he has special powers as explained by Gargamuni. Because Gargamuni, when he gave the names to Krishna and Balaram, he of course spoke in such a way that he's at once saying they are the Supreme Lord, but they're not the Supreme Lord. So therefore, the people, Nanda Maharaj took it as he's not the Supreme Lord, but he's empowered by the Supreme Lord. And then Gargamuni told Nanda Maharaj, you protect this child and he will protect you. So therefore, they understand that he has the power to protect, being somewhat empowered by the Supreme Lord. So therefore, when a demon comes, naturally they take shelter of Krishna out of affection and out of the idea that he has defeated so many demons in the past. So the fight is described here where Krishna combats the demon and with various strategies. He defeats the demon and ultimately he kills the demon. And this illustrates his skill at fighting. So the Lord does not have to exert effort to do any of this. And he doesn't have to even practice to do any of this. These are natural qualities of Krishna or any form of the Supreme Lord. They have all powers, they have virya, they have all skills. So therefore, naturally, they can very easily kill a particular demon. So in this fight, there is what we call another secondary rasa, virya rasa. Of course, there's different types of this rasa. There is utsaha, rati. You can take different forms. One of them is the fighting spirit. Another is to show dharma. Another is giving charities, dana virya, that's called. So this is the fighting virya here, in which Krishna may fight with a demon, and in doing so, he displays his prowess, eagerness to show his strength and his skill in defeating a demon. But of course we see that this is also not a direct rasa, because rasa is favorable. It should be a favorable thing based upon a primary rasa. Where the demon doesn't have any primary rasa, with the Lord it's unfavorable completely. So it's not a real rasa. It's not a real rasa at all.
So, of course, we do get Virya Rasa with devotees as well. So when the cowherd boys fight with Krishna and wrestle with Krishna, that is Virya, the real Virya Rasa there, because it's based on the affection. However, in these cases with demons, like Arjuna killing demons or whatever, we can say that it's also related to Krishna because he's doing it for Krishna. Krishna orders Arjuna to do this. He's doing it. Or they do it as a protection for Krishna. Even though Krishna doesn't need protection, they will do it for protection of Krishna. So in that way, it's related to affectionate relationship with Krishna. So the devotees can display Virya Rasa in relation to Krishna, and the demons, it's not a real rasa at all, because there's no affectionate relationship. In the material world, yes, we have these rasas acting independently. And so therefore Bharata Muni, he classifies different rasas and he doesn't distinguish between primary and secondary. They're all just rasas, that's all. And sometimes the secondary, what we call the secondary ones, are more prominent in depicting individuals. So the Virya Rasa is independent of a relationship with Krishna. It's merely their own, based on their own ahankara that they're fighting or whatever. So here we have Virya Rasa of the Supreme Lord, as Krishna in this case, fighting with bull demon, Aristasura. But we see also he displays this with other demons, so Keshi demon or Agasura demon or other ones, Kaliya, etc. There's a display of this Virya. Here it is quite explicit. In other cases it is quite hidden. So with Putana, nobody sees what he does when he sucks out her life air, or when Trinavarta falls from the sky and nobody knows what happened. But Krishna became very heavy. he pulled him down. Or when Krishna kicked the cart, nobody saw that his foot went up and actually killed the demon with his little foot. Or when he went into Agasura and he choked him by expanding his form, nobody could see that either. But here we find an explicit display of his virya that everyone saw, as in the case of Kaliya, or with Keshi also. So here there's an elaborate description of how he fought with the demon and pulled out his horn and then killed him with his own horn. In this way, all the people also appreciated the virya of the Supreme Lord. So for many devotees and with other forms of the Lord, they appreciate this as very much because it displays the power of the Supreme Lord. In the case of Krishna, they appreciate it, but they don't think of Krishna as Supreme Lord doing it. They just think of him as their protector, and some empowered, getting some power from the Supreme Lord. Nevertheless, the people are very pleased that Krishna does this, and they are attracted to the way in which he's able to easily kill the demon. So then at the end of this description there is a interesting description here of how killing the demon, then he entered the cowherd village, and the gopis were very joyful. So in other words, the gopis responded to Krishna with Madhurya Rasa, in spite of the fact that immediately previous to this we have Virya Rasa and the killing of the demon. So we have, and of course the demon himself had Virya Rasa, we can say also, but not technically real one, plus Fear Rasa ultimately, because he feared Krishna after he began fighting with him. So he had many secondary rasas of a inferior sort with Krishna, in relation to Krishna. Whereas the gopis immediately responded with favorable rasa, that is Madhurya Rasa, and they had great joy. So So this illustrates that the Lord simultaneously is the object of different rasas for different persons. When the gopis see him, he is the object of love, but for Aristasura, he is an object of fear. And ultimately he kills that demon. And this is, of course, explained in relation to the Krishna lifting Govardhan hill. Everybody saw him differently. In that case, everybody was all favorable rasa, so except for Indra. We see the people responding according to their rasas. So the elders were thinking of Krishna as a small child, and he needed help to hold up the hill. The gopis were seeing him. This is before, of course, their Purva Raga, we say, preliminary Madhurya Rasa, in which they were developing attraction for Krishna and Madhurya Rasa. The cowherd boys were joking with Krishna and Sakya Rasa. And all this was happening simultaneously with Krishna. So in other words, simultaneously he was an inspiration for all the different primary rasas. And then we see when he went to Mathura and entered the arena of Kamsa. There we have a description of 12 rasas, the secondary rasas and the primary rasas manifested in different persons in relation to Krishna. So the yogis saw him in Shantarasa, and the young women of Mathura saw him in Madhurya Rasa. Even though it looks quite, they're opposite, because Shanta is very peaceful, Madhurya is full of passion. And the elders, Vrishnis, saw him with Dasya. But the parents like Vasudeva and Devakinanda saw him with Vatsalya Rasa. And the cowherd boys saw him with Sakya Rasa. And Kamsa saw him with Fear Rasa, Bhayanak Rasa. And the wrestlers saw him with Virya Rasa, because they were fighting with each other. So, in this way, we find all the rasas manifested there with different personalities simultaneously. So, Krishna is the very form of all rasas, Akila Rasa Mritamurti. So, all 12 rasas with all their different shades and tastes are manifested in Krishna. And he can do so simultaneously for different persons because he's Supreme Lord. So this is an example of how different rasas are manifesting almost simultaneously with Krishna in killing of Aristasura.
That Aristasura thus went painfully to the abode of death. But we know that anyone who is killed by Krishna, they get liberated. What's the meaning of abode of death? Means Yamaloka, or he's liberated?
Abode of death. Well, of course, we can say it's a poetic expression. Instead of saying he died, which is very harsh, he says he went to the abode of so-and-so like that. So poetic saying he gave up his material body. And of course, the demons that get killed by Krishna get liberation, or they may go to Vaikuntha or whatever. It's not mentioned where he went, but at least he got auspicious ending, probably liberation. Purely? Karma. Well, if they get liberation, there's no more karma. Yeah. So if they're touched by the Supreme Lord, obviously they get transformed and all the karma is gone and whatever like that. Or they see the Lord even. And there you get transformed.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, we see the Vrajavasis were fully surrendered, and they never accepted Krishna as a Supreme Lord. Where everybody living entities at the sadhana level, we accept Krishna as a Supreme Lord, and we do our sadhana on that basis. So how the transformation for devotees will happen from
Well, you can progress even with seeing the Supreme Lord. So therefore you can go to bhava and prema with that idea that Krishna is Supreme Lord. But then when you realize Krishna, you will also have this mixture of Aishvarya, as in Mathura and Dwarka. But if you're attached to Krishna and Vrindavan, then you will go to a place called Aishvarya Goloka, which is another place where Krishna's the cowherd boy, but the people worship him with reverence also. So to get to the position of not seeing him as Supreme Lord in Gokul, then you have to do Raganuga Bhakti. So that is why Raganuga Bhakti is mentioned in relation to worship of Krishna, because with that, then you enter into a relationship where you don't see Krishna as God. Well, Raganuga is another type of sadhana. So one of the inspirations is to hear the Bhagavatam and become inspired by the devotees of Vrindavan and their type of love. If we become attracted to that, we keep hearing that, then we develop the tendency to aspire for that. And this leads to practice of Raganuga.
Maharaj, you are saying that the Gargamuni said that Krishna is like a Narayan but not Narayan. It's use the Narayana Sama, something like that. That word use. But if you translate it, it is equal to Narayan.
Well, that's a different usage where Narayana Sama that actually that is taken as I think that's in Brahma's prayers. So that's taken as that not that he's equal to Narayan, but rather that he's superior to Narayan.
Because Brahma knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, that's why he said like this.
He understood ultimately that Krishna was superior to Narayana.
Another question is like, see here, Aristasura was a demon, but he took the form of bull. So can you say that because Krishna loved a cow so much, so naturally Krishna has a love for cow. So that's why Aristasura thought that if I take the form of bull, so Krishna will not do anything to me, and I can take that opportunity to kill him.
He won't harm a bull, so then I can come as a bull and destroy everything, and he can't touch me. Maybe he's thinking like that. Because previously Krishna had killed all the other demons, and this was very upsetting to Kamsa, because all the other demons, Putana and all these other demons Bakasura, etc., got killed, so then possibly he was thinking as a new strategy or whatever.
And Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that, this Krishna killed so many demons in this pastime, but all the demons represent some of the anarthas. So here Aristasura what? Actually, anarthas?
Particular one for the Aristasura, I don't know, probably something like Ahankara or something, probably.
Enviousness? Enviousness?
Possibly, yeah. Oh, of course, because he was also imitating the bull. Maybe he's also like an imitator. I don't know, possibly. Though I think Putana was an imitator also.
This question you can see.
When Krishna performs his prakata and aprakata pastimes, do the other objects and entities like trees and animals have their manifest? Yes, everything is. The whole Dhamma is unmanifested or manifest. Do the ordinary living entities also have unmanifest ordinary living entities? Ordinary living entities means who? Well, Siddha devotees would have, and Nitya Siddhas would have, not material entities, obviously.
Well, she has a question that in the spiritual world, normally everyone is devotee. So, is it possible the demon will enter in the spiritual world? Is like in the spiritual world, we see that in the material world, every day Krishna is killing one by one demon. But Krishna kills demon in the spiritual world or not?
Well, the real demons don't exist in the spiritual world. They cannot exist. But it is described in the Brihad Bhagavatam that he's killing Aristasura or Keshi or whatever like that. But then what happens is they don't get killed. They get tamed. So they're like pets in the spiritual world. But even then they can't be real demons to begin with, so they're just like playing the role. It appears they're playing the role of demons, so real demons could not enter into the spiritual world. So they have pastimes where it looks like demons there, and then they become tame or whatever like that, and they lose their asuric nature.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Who was the spiritual master for? Markandeya Rishi, I don't know. Huh? Is it Vyasa? No. He was long before Vyasa. I don't know. Markandeya Rishi. Must be mentioned somewhere.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, and doing philanthropic works such as opening hospitals, anadashramas, these are causes only troubles instead of devotion.
The what?
Doing philanthropic works such as opening hospitals, anadashramas, these are all things only causes troubles instead of devotion. So it is also mentioned that in Krishna book I read it, opening churches and also opening temples of demigods also causes only troubles. How can we understand this and this one? Opening churches.
Churches. We don't open churches.
But we could see churches also, right? So these are all the things. We could see opening churches also outside.
Well, these are all acts of punya, like Devata temples, etc. Because they're not Supreme Lord, so we don't call that direct devotion. It's part of Dharma, obviously, in which they do worship Devatas. So therefore, building temples for Devatas, worshiping Devatas is part of punya. It's part of the karma yoga process, or karma kanda, or varnashram, etc. It's part of that. So it doesn't get you out of the material world, but eventually it leads you to sattva gun.
But it is mentioned it causes only troubles. It causes only troubles.
Well, all these things eventually can lead to sattva. That's why they're mentioned in scripture. But they're not recommended in Kali Yuga because generally the people don't progress beyond their guna with those types of activities. But the scripture does recommend these different activities as punya because they're trying to make the people purified of the lower gunas, tamas and rajas.
So this one, opening churches, it is mentioned for only Hindus or for all religions?
It's not mentioned in the scriptures opening churches.
I read in Krishna book in 32 chapter, second part.
What, opening churches?
Opening churches.
Well,
also
devotees wouldn't open churches anyway, as far as I know. Maybe Christians open churches, but not devotees. So may not apply to devotees.
I think Prabhupada mentioning that opening temples and churches just to make money is not proper. Nowadays Ganesh can be everywhere, they open temples.
Well, as I said, it's all on the material level anyway. If it's not Supreme Lord, now if it's a church for Supreme Lord, then it's not material then in that sense, because it's not Devata worship.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, actually what we understand, devotees' mood should be to servant of the Lord or servant of the Lord. So when we face any danger in our life, if we pray for, because as Prabhupada says, material life is full of dangers always. So if we pray for small danger, if we pray to Krishna, so when we'll get time to pray for bhakti, to get real bhakti, to pray, surrender ourselves to be the servant of Krishna. Means if we pray for small danger, because always...
Well, we shouldn't do it constantly. If we do it constantly, then it becomes mixed devotion. It's not Sudha Bhakti anymore. It is mixed. If it's once in a while, fine. But if it's all the time, then it becomes mixed Bhakti.
Thank you, Maharaj.
They're always mixed because the basis of all the secondary ones are the primary ones. And then we make a mixture of primary rasas. So when we get a person who has Shanta and Dasya together, or Dasya and Sakya a little bit. For instance, the Pandavas are usually a mixture. So there's a little Vatsalya in Yudhishthir's Sakya with Krishna. But Arjuna's is pure Sakya. And the younger brothers are in little Dasya there as well with their Sakya. So there's mixtures of primary rasas, and of course the secondary rasas are obviously mixed with the primary rasas because they can't exist without them.